guys. Welcome back to the EFA podcast. I am Mark. I am the guest on this episode. As usual, here with your normal host, Drew.
What's up?
And Matthias.
Hello.
So, we're going to get right into this thing. We're going to be doing a buy and sell. And, Drew, why don't you introduce us into what we're about to do with this buy and sell?
Yeah, so this is what we're about to do is, like Mark said, buy sell. I'm going to give you a wild card team. If you think they can make a run in the playoffs, let's say the championship game, then you're going to buy them. And if not, then you're going to sell them. And we're going to start off with Matthias and the Dolphins.
So, I have to sell, and I think it's just because of inexperience. I think that they're not quite old enough yet, and I think that at some point their offense is going, because their defense has turnovers, it scores, but their offense, it doesn't turn the ball over, which is the best part about it, but it also is not an offense that you can trust will go down the field every time, like a Kansas City or a Seattle on one of their good days. But so I think that once they have the pieces around Tua and he has developed, which I think could be as early as 2 or 3 years down the line, that they can make that run.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you here. I mean, I'm going to sell them as well. But I do see them being this year. They're going to be the Tennessee Titans from last year, where they're going to come into the playoffs with, hope to win like every team does. But a lot of the NFL fan base is going to kind of be like, oh, Titans or Dolphins, they're just going to be out first round. But I can see them knocking out one or two teams. I don't see them going the full way, as you said, because I don't think their offenses and Tua are developed enough. But I can see them in future years being a team that is going to look good.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with both of you, even though together as a group we've sold them because it's already 2-1. But I'm going to buy them. And this one was really tough for me. I really had to think about this because, like, Matthias made a great point. They're inexperienced, they're young. But they kept it very close against KC. And I think I'm going to buy them because of what Mark said. Like, they're going to be that team that's like, oh, they're kind of just here to be there, but Miami's not going to see it that way, and they're going to want to win, obviously. And I think they're going to be able to make a run. And like we've mentioned it thousands of times in previous episodes, that the AFC is tough this year, and it's no walk in the park. And they play New England, Vegas, and Buffalo in their last 3 games, and they could either win all 3 or lose all 3. And that if they win all 3, that puts them at 11-5, and that's easy playoff berth right there. And I think without a doubt that they should be able to make it at least past the wild card round. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make it past the AFC Championship. And can they make it to the Super Bowl? I'm gonna kind of lean towards the no because of how inexperienced they are. But it also depends on who they play and how they've played in the previous playoff games. So I will buy them, but as a group we've sold them. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. All right, Matthias, the number 6 seed right now and the Indianapolis Colts.
So I'm going to have to sell. Honestly, I think that once it comes playoff time, this is going to be Baltimore's spot. Maybe not at 6, but I'm just saying I don't think the Colts will have retained this spot. But if they are in the playoffs, the run game's come along, the defense is elite. The QB play is just not quite there, though. Philip Rivers can't do all like a Patrick Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees on one of his good days. But, so, yeah.
I would just like to point, he did duel Aaron Rodgers and won earlier this season, so.
Yeah, but that's different from playoff time.
That is a good point, but I just wanted to call you out on that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I'm gonna have to sell.
I'm also gonna sell them. As the point you made, I agree. Run game's getting there, defense is elite, but the biggest problem is a QB position. I mean, Philip Rivers, I mean, for how long he's been in this league, how many playoff games has he been in?
I
I know
don't
at least
know.
one. I know definitely at least one, that one against the Patriots where they
Yeah.
were thought to be Super Bowl contenders and they just blew it.
He's definitely been in
Um,
more than one. He's
yeah,
maybe
Yeah.
7 or 8.
yeah, but I mean, he hasn't like shown that he's playoff material, and even in the season, there's like struggles, and I
Yeah.
just don't see him being that QB to lead a team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys, and I agree mostly with Matisse's point in that I also agree that this is probably going to be Baltimore's spot come playoff time, and but like we've kind of mentioned, I think it comes down to how well Rivers will play, and I think if he can play like he did against Green Bay and how he played against against Tennessee in the first game they played him, I would probably buy them just because that the how well he's played has changed how well this team does. And like the again, you guys both mentioned their defense is elite and then the run game is also coming along. But and I like if they were to make the playoffs, I think the defense would be the reason they made it out of the wild card round. And if the season were to end now, I think they'd play Buffalo, and I just can't see them beating Buffalo. Like Buffalo is probably the second best team in the AFC right now, and I just can't see it. And again, Rivers has not really been known to be that clutch player, so I can't buy them because I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. So I'm gonna sell. And then number 5, and the Browns.
So yeah, I mean, they've impressed as of late, and again, I think we've said this for the last two teams, but again, I'm just gonna have to say I don't trust Baker Mayfield once the game is on the line. Like last night, I think he played very well, and he's elevated his game as of late. But again, it's another young team, a young defense who is definitely not elite quite yet, and I just think again that they can't really stand toe to toe with some of the top teams in the AFC.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you for the sell. I mean, personally, I do like Baker Mayfield a lot, so it does hurt me to say that I don't see him being able to lead the Browns to the Super Bowl. I mean, also, I mean, some key injury I think as well. You don't have Odell. I mean, Jarvis Landry has stepped up in that position, but I don't think all the pieces are there yet. And I mean, they're close, but I don't know if they have the cap room and the coaching ability to be able to get over the hump. I'm gonna have to sell them as well.
Yeah, I agree. Me and Matthias kind of talked about this last week with like can Baker Mayfield win a Super Bowl in his career, and I think we both said no because if it was in his career and he didn't have the talent that he had on offense, but we also mentioned the fact that with this team they can win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years because their offense is very good. They just need to make a jump on defense, and they can do that easily in the draft. And I think the last 2 weeks have proved to me that Baker Mayfield is a legitimate QB1, and like knowing the Browns, they'll find a way to lose every single game left in the season and miss the playoffs. And I do think that's not going to happen, and they have it locked up. And on paper, they have one of the most high-powered offenses in the league, I should say, and a defensive player of the year candidate in Myles Garrett on the defensive side of the ball. And I think if, like Mark said, with the coaching, if Kevin Stefanski can find a way to figure out how to use his guys correctly, which I think he has, but I just don't know. I just can't buy them because the Browns in the past have not been the most trustworthy team. So until they've proven to me that they can win constantly, that I can't buy them. And okay, so we've sold every team in the AFC. moving on to the NFC, we got the number 7 seed Cardinals.
Uh, I'm gonna start the FC here, but I don't see. I don't have to sell them. I mean, the Cardinals. I know they've been injury riddled throughout times of the season, and I mean they've looked like Super Bowl contenders, and then they looked like teams that are gonna go even 500. And I mean, I just don't see them doing it. I mean, they have pieces there. Picking up DeAndre Hopkins, definitely a huge step in the right direction for them. I mean, I think they have to give it a few more years until they can really try to make a Super Bowl run.
Yeah, I agree with basically everything you said. I could see them definitely shocking a couple teams and maybe not making the Super Bowl, but not being like an easy wild card out. I think that it really all depends, like what form is Kyler Murray in, and also what form is their defense in. Because I, I've, I think I've said it before a couple of times. Their defense sometimes plays like last year when they were the worst defense in the league, and will also sometimes play like they have sometimes this year, where Buda Baker is playing amazingly and the pass rush clicks a little bit more than it normally does, and the linebacker, like the defense just clicks.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are the NFC's version of the Dolphins. And like right now they're 7-6, and their last 3 games are Philadelphia, San Fran, and the LA Rams. And for the sake of this, I guess I think they're gonna finish 9-7 with wins against Philly and San Fran. I think they lose to LA in week 17. And so I think that's just gonna be able to get them into playoffs by a slim margin. And like Matthias mentioned it. I don't know if I trust Kyler yet, and like in years to come, maybe I will. But he's proven he can be an MVP, and he's also proven that he should have stuck to baseball, right? Like he shouldn't be in the NFL. And like it's 50-50. He's 50-50. He's been 50-50 this year, and I'm not confident enough to buy that, so I'm gonna sell as well.
Wait, sorry, I'm just confused with what you said. He should have stuck to baseball. Are you saying like half the time he looks like he should have done that? And
Yes, yeah.
okay, okay,
Yeah, no, he's definitely played well this year. I just think he's definitely had some games where he's like, oh, okay. Well, like
yeah.
more last year than this year, but yeah. All right, so number 6 we got the Buccaneers.
I'm gonna have to buy the Buccaneers. I mean, this one was tough. I mean, when I heard about it beforehand, I mean, because they got Tom Brady, got Bruce Arians, who are both huge factors. I mean, I know there's been some beef between them recently, but I think they'll get that together. They'll be able to make up before playoff time. And I mean, the core they have on offense, I've seen a lot of good things from them, and also their defense, I feel like has stepped up from what it looked like it was going to be. They've definitely played much better than I thought they would, at least in my opinion. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but I mean, I can see them just with the veteran talent they have. I can see them making a run for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'd agree that the veteran talent could make a run in the Super Bowl, but sadly, I don't know if I'm pessimistic. I wonder if I'm gonna sell on all the wildcard teams, but I just haven't liked what I've been seeing from them lately. It's like they're just still waiting to click. I don't know if it like in the first playoff game of the season we're gonna see that click or something. But I, their offense has been good, but on paper it looks like it should be all time good. It looks amazing, and their defense has arguably been maybe the best part of their football team. That it's a very good run defense, and so yeah, I think that they can they can win, but will I think mostly will Tom Brady and his receivers and Bruce Arians all like come together, and will they be able to pull off like a good 2 minute drill and like that kind of thing at the end of the game?
Yeah, no, I agree. I I agree with what both of you guys said, and I think like like Matthias kind of said that they've almost been like insanely underwhelming, and like considering they looked like they were playing Madden Ultimate Team in the beginning of the season with the team they put together, and but I'm also agreeing with Mark because I'm gonna have to buy them, and I think they're gonna win out. No one in the last 3 games has a winning record, and like that'll put them at 11-5, I believe, which is likely a 5 seed. Maybe keeps them at 6. And like this is what I think it's gonna look like in week 17. It's probably going to be totally different, but um, yeah, my whole thing is Tom Brady is not to be messed with in the playoffs, and like you can't really doubt him. And I think without a second thought that they'd make the NFC Championship game, and I have to buy them because Brady has proven time and time again, except for last year, that he can't you can't doubt him. So I have to buy him. And then the number 5 seed and the Seahawks.
I know Matthias isn't going to be happy with me here, being our Steelers fan on the podcast, but I'm going to have to sell them. I mean, up to week 8, I was like, oh, they're Super Bowl contenders, but it's slowly gone downhill. I mean, even seeing the start of the Jets game, for a moment I was like, this might be the Jets' time. And I was like, there's no way the Jets are about to get their first win against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, then this able to ramp it up and absolutely blow them out, as we know. But I mean, if we're questioning a team about beating the Jets in the first part of the first quarter or first half of the quarter, I mean, that's definitely not Super Bowl contender for me. And I mean, pieces are there, but at the same time, I feel like their defense is too weak. They have to build it up a bit more. So I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, I don't know if it's pessimism for me or whatever it is, but I also kind of I do doubt them at this point, and I'm also gonna sell, which means I sold on every single team. But yeah, they've been disappointing. I mean, don't blame them at all, but Russ has been disappointing. I and I you know, defense horrible, and I guess I mean I feel they won 40-3 against the Jets, so that's what they were supposed to do. But I also think they're just so lopsided, and they have turnover trouble. I think they're I yeah, I don't think this is the year.
Yeah, all right. I'm also gonna have to sell them, and to be like this like let's just not talk about last week. Like they won, they should have won. 2 weeks ago they lost to the Giants, and I mean who have kind of proven
Yeah,
that
I
they're
forgot about that. That also leads to my reasonings for
yeah yeah like that like they've proven time and time again that they can't be trusted this year when you need it most, and like they have a pretty easy schedule in the last 3 games with Washington, L.A. and San Fran. I mean L.A. could probably be a loss, and looking at
I'm gonna be.
go
Don't mean
ahead.
to cut you off here, Drew, but I'm gonna be honest. I see the Washington and LA games both being losses. I mean, I've already seen Washington Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
which is one of the best days of my life in 2020 so far. And I mean, if they do that the Seahawks, then I'm honestly just gonna have to hop onto the Washington football team bandwagon, if I'm being honest. And then also, I don't see them being able to beat the Rams. I mean, did they beat them the first time they played?
No, I don't. I no, they
Yeah,
did
so
not.
I think the Rams are a better football team. So I mean, just basically on a teeter totter right now, and they're leaning towards the side of failure more than going up. So, anyways, back to you.
Yeah. Looking at those 3 games, I think they could win all 3 of those games, and similar to Miami, like they could lose all of them. And watching Seattle against against the Giants, they like they could. I'm leaning towards they're gonna lose all 3, but I don't. Obviously that's probably not going to happen because Seattle, as we mentioned, is a good football team, and but assuming they're in the playoffs, I just don't trust them, and I don't think they're going to be able to make it that far. Sorry, Matthias. All right. So, So moving on to the top 3 players, I'm going to start off, and my 3 is Lamar Jackson. And it's not for what he did in the air; it's what he did on the ground. He had 9 rushes, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And like that's a good stat line right there for a running back. I know Mark's gonna probably say something about this in a sec. So his his passing stats, if you wanted to know, were he went 11 for 17, 163 yards and a touchdown, which isn't top 3 material, which is why I put him in there for his running what he did in the run game. And what really puts me in the top 3 is what he did in the last 2 minutes. Like Trace McSorley had the knee injury, and he came running out of the locker room during the 2-minute warning, put his helmet on, went out there down 1 point with 2 minutes left, and he throws a 45-yard dart to Marquise Brown to pretty much seal the game. Now, Cleveland ended up coming back and scoring to tie it up, but he was able to march them down a field again, and Justin Tucker hit a 55-yarder, I believe, to win the game. And that, I think, Lamar coming out with that touchdown throw and with 2 minutes left, I think that single-handedly saved their playoff hopes for the time being, at least. So that's why I have him at 3.
I mean, yeah, I also have Lamar Jackson here at 3, and I mean, Drew's a good thing, and I'm just gonna say it now. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, but the guy literally went into the locker room to take a crap. They go, oh, by the way, we need you back now.
Yeah.
Got off, ran back onto the field, and led his team to a win. And I mean, if that's not a story of a hero, then I don't know what is. And I mean, even if that's not true, it's just impressive that he's able to come back with 2 minutes left after not even being part of the football game, able to keep the mindset of the game going. I would singly be one of the reasons, if not the reason, they were able to stay in and win that game.
Yeah, it was definitely top 3 for the storyline, not exactly just the stats. But
I mean, I gave you the stat line, so I mean, I thought it was impressive enough.
I mean,
Yeah,
okay.
Not all right. Not keep going.
My 3 is Jonathan Taylor, though. He had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was definitely the best performance of his young career. I think that this is really why I said earlier, I don't know if it's why Mark said earlier, but why the Colts run game is progressing. You know, I expected him to be the best. He was my favorite back out of this class, so I'm happy to see him doing well. And yeah, I definitely think it's one of the better rookie running back performances we've seen, besides maybe the Antonio Gibson against the Cowboys.
Yeah. All right, Matthias, if you want to start off with number 2.
And then my 2 is Derrick Henry, who had 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, which I believe makes him the leader in career games of 200 yards and 2+ touchdown rushes. I don't know the exact number he has. I think it's around 5. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he's been on the list like almost every day this year, or every week this year. And he, I mean, yeah, he's just a monster, I guess. And as we get into the winter people don't want to tackle him right now, and I think it'll keep going that way in the playoffs. And I'm wondering if he started the crazy playoff push he had last year early, and he's starting to kick that off, and he's going to do it again this year.
I think last year he started around the same time too, because this is when the Titans were like 6-7 or something, and they ended up winning their last 3 games because of Henry, if I remember correctly. I know he started at some point in the regular season. I don't know if it was around week wherever, but my two's also is my two is Jonathan Taylor, who we've already mentioned. He had 20 rushes, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The rookie out of Wisconsin, who kind of took a fall in the draft, if I'm being honest. He finally had his breakout game, which we've all been waiting for, and he ran all over Vegas this week. And now I think it came too late to put him in the top rookie running backs of this for this year, and like with Antonio Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at least in the first few weeks, and James Robinson from Jacksonville. Um, I do think, however, that it came just in time for Indy to keep their playoff hopes alive, though. So that was a great performance by JT.
Yeah, my number two, I don't know if this has ever been done on the podcast, but I actually picked a defense. And I picked the Miami Dolphins defense, who had a fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, and 31 points against. And I know right off the bat, 31 points against sounds like, geez, that's a lot let up. But they played the Chiefs. They were able to intercept Patrick Mahomes 3 times and get a fumble recovery. Plus, they had that 30-yard sack, which was pretty crazy as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they played like one of the best defenses in the league that day. And they were able to mostly, I mean, ended up losing the game. But, I mean, throughout the game, they were able to cover Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce pretty well at times. And, I mean, it's hard to cover both of those guys. I mean, usually you can secure one, but to see both of them be covered like they were at times throughout the game, I think it was pretty good, and it was very fun to watch from a defensive perspective.
Yeah, definitely a great performance. And I think I do like the idea of doing an entire defense, because like the 3 picks, it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was 3 different people. So yeah. All right, Mark, you can do one now. Also.
For my number one, I had Drew's number two, which is Derrick Henry. As he said, 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I mean, if right now everybody's talking about how the MVP race is Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, which I think it's going to be one of them, those two, because it usually always goes to a quarterback. But I think, in my opinion, the third spot candidate for the MVP is Derrick Henry. I mean, he's had 1 or 2 off games, but I mean, he's starting to kick into that playoff drive, and depending on how well he plays a playoff, I could see him somehow coming out of nowhere and stealing that MVP.
Well, the MVP is a completely it's not based off of the playoffs at all.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like in general, I see him.
Well,
I see him.
I do it's tough. It's tough also, like, because it's normally given to a quarterback. It's very rare that you'll see a running back or wide receiver win the award. So, like, do I think Henry deserves it? Yeah, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. My one is also Derek. My one is also Derrick Henry. Matisse's two is Derrick Henry. Mark, by the way. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
he had
Sorry.
he had
Yeah.
26 rushes, 215 yards, and 2 touchdowns, like we mentioned. And like I don't know what else there is to say other than I called it, and I said that Henry was gonna have a field day with Jacksonville's defense, who is probably the worst run defense in the league, and I think it kind of got proven on Sunday. And it's he's like it's almost like he's in one of ours, or at least it feels like he's in one of ours, if not all of our top threes every week. And I don't have much more to say, but like we're witnessing one of the best running backs in the game right now, and he's doing his thing week in and week out. So Derrick Henry is gonna take number one for like probably the fourth time this year for me.
Yeah, my one. I don't know if you guys didn't see this or forgot about it, but Hassan Reddick had 5 sacks. So I mean a 5 sack game like that looks like it could be a stat for like a whole season for some rushers, but for edge rushers. But I mean, yeah, I didn't watch the game. I just saw 5 sacks and kind of had to put it there. I feel like so.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we're gonna move on to picks. I'm gonna start off. So we got Thursday Night Football. We got the Chargers and the Raiders, another divisional matchup. I'm gonna take the Raiders, and the reason being is because the Chargers just came off the ugliest win of the season, in my opinion, with like the two, like Matt Ryan got intercepted, then Herbert gets intercepted, then Matt Ryan gets intercepted again, and then Chargers ended up winning. Now Vegas is also coming off a bad loss to Indy, but Indy is a good team, and they're a lot better than the Falcons are, and Vegas is going to need this one if they want to keep the playoff hopes alive, and I still think that the Chargers should sit Herbert for Tyrod Taylor, and I'm gonna take Vegas on this one.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna take the Chargers. I think that the Raiders. I think it's a league of what have you been doing for me lately, and both of these teams have definitely declined lately, or just been not playing as great as they were. But I'd I'd still I still have to say I think that the Chargers will win because the Raiders have just really not looked very good lately with the game against the Jets, and they've just fallen off. And I think that Justin Herbert has had 2 tough games. He's looked human, I guess. I don't know if he's still on track to break all the rookie records, but I just think that he'll probably go back to how he was playing before the Patriots game, and they'll be able to pull off a win in Vegas, I believe.
Yes, it's in Vegas.
Uh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go with the Raiders as well. I mean, both these teams, as I said, I mean at the start of the season, both looked like they could be teams that were either gonna do very well or absolutely horrible. I feel like at least for the Raiders, they started off strong, and week by week it's been declining. I mean, Los Angeles, I feel like they've had, or sorry, not the Chargers have had plenty of chances to win games. They can't pull it off, and I feel like that's going to happen again against the Raiders. So I gotta pick the Raiders here.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we got Saturday football, which is kind of exciting. I don't know why. I always like Saturday football. So we got Buffalo and Denver, and I'm gonna take Buffalo, and I'm gonna take them because, like I mentioned before, Buffalo is the second best team in the league in the AFC. Sorry. They had a huge win against Pittsburgh last week, who we all know is probably fake, but they're still a good team, and there's no discrediting that. And I'm pretty sure they clinched a playoff spot with a win, or like they clinched the playoffs and the AFC East with a win, because I think they have the tiebreaker with Miami, and this will be the first time that the Patriots have not won the AFC East, and this Bills team. If I had to choose a team to do it to end the streak, it would be this Bills team because I don't know. I like them. I like Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs has been one of my favorite players for a long time, and I liked Zach Moss out of college, and Denver. Moving on to Denver. Denver's looked a lot better now than they have in the past. They kept it close against KC. They beat Carolina, and Drew Lock has looked pretty consistent in those past 2 weeks. And I don't think it's I even if he plays like he did against KC and Carolina, I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you here, Drew. I'm gonna go with Buffalo. I mean, Denver as well still has a lot of injuries, and I mean, I know they've been playing much better football than we've been seeing earlier in the season, but this year hasn't been their year. So I think next year, I know a lot of people are saying at the beginning of this year, this is their year, but if we're being honest, I think next year will be their year. Hopefully, all this Corona stuff will hopefully die down by then, and hopefully they'll be able to get a good preseason in and not have their entire defense basically get injured. Yeah. Other thing I want to add it to is, I mean, me and Drew here, we're both Patriots fans, and I mean, us saying to have the Buffalo Bills take the AFC Championship and actually be like excited about it, I think it means something about that team. I think it means they're fun to watch, and just just a team that you want to root for. I mean, being a New
Yeah,
York team, I usually hate most New York teams, but I mean Buffalo. There's just something about them. I want to see them win.
yeah,
Yeah. I want to start, I guess, by giving credit to Drew Lock to having, I think, his first week without a turnover since like week 3 or 4 or something like that.
I probably last year because he
Yeah.
got hurt in week 2.
He had,
Was it
I
week
think,
1 then? Was it week against Tennessee?
maybe, yeah.
Because he got hurt against Pittsburgh week 2. So
Yeah,
I
one of the earlier weeks this week and earlier weeks this season.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think you know what does this game really do for him? Like, does it mean you're gonna give him another year? I you know I don't know. But I think they're going to get steamrolled by the Bills. I don't think it's going to be a particularly entertaining or close game. And I guess that's all I have to say on it.
Yeah, I think at this point Drew Lock's just playing for his job right now. So if he can play well, then who cares? Who cares if they get steamrolled because he played well. He has his job back next year. Um, Carolina, Green Bay, another Saturday game. I don't think this should be a hard pick at all. I have Green Bay. Rodgers is probably the MVP front runner right now with Mahomes throwing 3 picks last week. Carolina has not looked great, and I can't see any sort of upset here. And I think that cycle that we talk about with every Packers game is officially broken. And Green Bay's the number 1 seed in the NFC right now, and I think they're going to keep the throne.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you here. I mean, I hope the Panthers are able to make it close just to be exciting to watch because I mean I feel like both Saturday games are going to be absolute blowouts. I hope at least one of those games will stay close. But I think Green Bay, even though it's a division rival, or no, sorry, it's not a division rival, but even it being the Panthers team, I think they'll just steamroll them if we're being honest here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's much to say. I think, the Packers have looked like one of, if possibly not the best NFC team lately, with the Saints losing to the Eagles last week. I think that, I mean, Rodgers is probably going to have a field day with the Carolina defense. And I also agree with Drew that Rodgers is definitely the MVP frontrunner now with Mahomes' game against Miami. And yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Sunday, we got New England and Miami, and we all know the story of what happened in Week 1. Pats won 21-11, and everyone thought that they would maintain the AFC East for another year with Cam Newton. And now 14 weeks later, and it's the complete opposite. Miami's fighting for that spot for the AFC East. The Patriots are almost completely out of the picture. Miami's one of the hottest teams in the league right now with Tua as the starter, and their defense has looked scary. Now the one spot that the Patriots can actually could actually win this game would be the run game, and the Miami this year at least has struggled with the run defense. And if they can get Damian Harris and James White, Sony Michel, if they can get guys like that going, even Cam Newton in the run game, then I think
Don't
maybe,
forget the top running back, Cam Newton.
maybe it's a different story. And I, I'm now mentioning that Josh McDaniels has not been the greatest of play callers this year, and I don't know if I'd trust him to make the right call, even though he in the past he's been running the ball a lot, and maybe now he's gonna decide to throw it more. But I don't trust him enough to make a smart decision, so I'm gonna take Miami.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna agree with you here. I mean, it was tough. I mean, that Patriots fan side of me, like, oh, they can win, but I mean, what we saw against the game against the Bills and the Patriots, I mean, it was a close game, but I just don't think Cam Newton, he's not in his prime anymore. And as we saw, I mean, he seemed to choke when it comes to big times, at least most of the time. I mean, there's been a few times where he's been able to power through, but I just don't see it. And I mean, I feel like we'll have the run game, but the Patriots' run game has been so predictable throughout the season that, I mean, I just don't think we'll be able to get it going.
Yeah,
I'll
wait,
have to take
but before Matthias picked, I just want to. I did look at stats. I think Miami has like the 28th run defense or 27th run defense, and the Patriots have the 5th best run offense in the league. So, yeah.
I don't trust us in
Yeah, no,
big
I
games
don't either. I don't either.
here.
All
At
right,
least we're not
Matthias,
the
go ahead.
Seahawks.
Yeah, so I'd have to agree. I think Miami's going to take it. They're one of the hotter teams right now. I think that, yeah, I just don't see New England being able to cope, I guess, with Miami's defense. I think it's Miami's probably going to have another week where they force multiple turnovers, and I think that, like, right now that's the strength of their team, getting turnovers on defense. And I don't have too much more to say.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything. Moving on, we got Houston and Indianapolis, and this is a huge game for Indy if they want to keep the playoff hopes alive. I've probably said that same phrase for different teams 95 times in this one episode, but we're in playoff mode now. So we got the Texans have been officially eliminated after that embarrassing loss to Chicago, and Indianapolis is still fighting for that playoff spot. And their last 3 games are Houston, which should be a win, Pittsburgh, which could go either way, and Jacksonville, which like I've said, is a trap team. So I would not be surprised if they lose that game. And Houston, now back to Houston. Houston doesn't have a win against a team that's above 500, and to me, this is the only absolute certainty that Indy has on the rest of their schedule. So they need to take advantage of this.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you here. I think the Colts should have a easy win. I mean, division rivals. I feel like that could be a complete different game. You've played those guys for seasons, so it's a little bit different. I mean, as we saw, Patriots Jets, what looked like would have been an easy win for the Patriots. The Jets were able to stay in it, but I mean, I think the Colts should have an easy win here, and it will be a good turning point for them to keep their playoff hopes alive and maybe start something into the playoffs.
I actually disagree. I don't know. Sometimes you just have a weird feeling about a game. I think Houston is going to win. I don't really know why. I guess I feel like Deshaun Watson, he said it multiple times. I think he's sick of losing. And I think that this could be the trap team. The trap game. Or trap team. Because they have Pittsburgh immediately after it. Who I think that they'll be like, oh, it's a division rival. We know them. Let's take like a skip week and look to the next week so that we can win that. And I think that Houston. I I think I said this all season long, and they obviously had an ugly loss to Chicago, but I still think they're better than the record shows. I think that they are carried by Watson, and I again, it's just a weird feeling.
Yeah, to me that's just I just don't see that happening because I don't know. It's another I guess weird feeling that this is gonna be the only lock they have. And Matthias, it's your
Yeah,
turn for your. Go ahead, Mark.
before we end it and Matthias starts doing the teams, I understand where Matthias is coming from. I mean, one podcast I was in, the footage got corrupted, but that was the week the Washington football team played Pittsburgh, and I mean, I had a really big feeling in my gut that that was going to be the game they lose, and I happened to be right. So I mean, I understand where Matthias is coming, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's right.
Well, thank you. So my next the next game is the Lions versus Titans. I think the Titans should win this. The Lions are not exactly a great team as of late, and I think Derrick Henry's, out for blood right now, sort of, right? And the Lions defense definitely is not the defense who's going to stop him, and I think that he'll just run all over them, and it'll be a pretty easy Texans win.
I gotta agree with you here. I think the Titans will be able to take it, and I mean, I feel like Derrick Henry, he's kind of going into like a Super Saiyan mode, just building up power for the playoffs, and I think this should be an easy game for him. Just break right through the lines, go on to the next week, and just keep on running. So I gotta take the Titans here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of you. Now this is an easy one, but like Detroit's defense should be good. Like if you look at them, they should be like a top 10 defense in the league, debatably top 10. Like they got Everson Griffin, Romeo Quora, Reggie Ragland, Jamie Collins, Jeff Okuda, and yeah, like that is a good defense. They just haven't been able to prove that they can be a top 10 defense whatsoever. Like they're 27th in pass defense and 29th in rush, and they're going against one of the best offenses in the league with Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Corey Davis, Johnny Smith. Like that's just to name a few guys. And I just don't think that the defense will be able to keep up.
Yeah, so next we have Chicago versus Minnesota. Chicago had the dominant win over Houston last week, but I'm still going to go with Minnesota. They still have playoff hopes. They just they could still make it in over the Cardinals. And I'm not sure I think that's going to happen, but I do think that they will be able to beat Chicago this week, just because I don't think Chicago's going to be able to run all over Minnesota like they did with the Texans. So yeah.
Yeah, I also have, or no, you picked Minnesota, right? Yeah. So I have to disagree with you. I have Chicago. Um, Honestly, if the Chiefs and Saints weren't playing this week, this would probably be the game of the week for me. Um, Both of them can still make the playoffs. It's a must-win game for both. The NFC North games are always entertaining as it is, and with the playoffs on the line, it shouldn't be worse. It should be a lot better. So, I think Chicago's going to get the edge here, and that's pretty much because I'm on board with the December Trubisky train that happened that started last week against Houston.
I'm gonna actually have to go here with the agree with Matthias, and I'm gonna have to go with the Vikings because I think a lot of the pieces are there. I mean, if Kirk Cousins can play like the a good version of himself, I can see them taking over the Cardinals spot. I mean, the Bears don't count them out yet. I mean, I can see them ending the Vikings playoff hopes, but I just think the Vikings will have the upper hand.
Yeah, yeah. I do see this game. It could go either way. But next, I have the Seahawks versus Washington. I kind of struggle with this game because I do not want to just say that the Seahawks will lose. But Washington's on a roll lately, and I think that this could be another game where Seattle's kind of caught by surprise, and like with the Giants, they just can't score at all. And I feel like that's what's most likely going to happen, and that's why I have Washington winning it. But
Yeah. Um, that honestly shocked me. I thought that was gonna be easy one for you, Matthias, but um, I did pick Seattle, and I know Mark. I'm pretty sure I know what Mark's going with this week, but similar to last week and the Seattle New York game, the Seattle versus the Jets. I don't think it's a no brainer. Washington is arguably the hottest team in the league right now. Like maybe they're probably in contention with Miami for that. They're on a 4-game winning streak, I believe, and like I mentioned earlier in the buy sell, Seattle is not trustworthy when you need it most. And although Matthias, I'm gonna say that you're gonna be able to let Russ cook this week, and Seattle's gonna win.
So yeah, Drew said he thinks he knows who I'm gonna go, and I mean after picking the Seahawks, uh, and how I've been talking about him, I think a lot of people are actually gonna be surprised with who I have winning this game, and I'm going with the Washington football team because um I mean right now they're probably the biggest bandwagon team I'm with right now. Um look at right there, Robert Griffin third. I mean, on the base now, but still, that's beautiful. And I mean, as like, I don't know what it is. I mean, Steelers are if one of, if not my least favorite team in the league. I like their wide receiver core, but Mike Tomlin. This is just my personal opinion. Not a big fan. I mean, that's really all I can say. Not a big fan of Big Ben either. So I mean, to see Washington beat another like high tier team to give them hopefully a bigger lead and helps them go on to secure their division would just be the highlight of the day.
yeah. Next, we have the Jaguars versus the Ravens. This should be a no-brainer. I think I have the Ravens winning. Uh, they obviously played a great game against the Browns, and I think that they, you know, they're feeling the heat. They know they have to win, and I think that they will in a pretty easy game.
Yeah. Normally I talk about Jacksonville being that trap team, and I'm. This is probably the first week in a while that I'm not going to talk about that, and that be the reason is Baltimore needs this win, and I think it'll be. I think that's going to be the game changers. The fact that they need this win, and I think it's going to be a 30-plus point win for Baltimore here, and I think that it's going to prove that they deserve to be in the playoffs, even though it is against Jacksonville. So I'm going to take Baltimore.
I mean, yeah, as Drew's been saying, I mean, first time I've heard him say this, not calling Jacksonville the trap team. So I'm gonna have to call them the trap team here this week. And I don't know, like Matthias had earlier with Houston, I just have that feeling, and I mean, I'm just excited for next week when we can all come back and talk about how much of a genius I am in football predictions. But I feel like the Ravens coming off such a hype win, they're like about to their train is going. They're getting hyped. They're about to try to make the playoffs, and then everything just comes crashing down, and they lose to a team who one win all season. So, I mean, I just see that happening. I don't know why. I can't really explain it, but I just have the feeling that's gonna happen, and hopefully it will.
Yeah, I respect that. I respect that with the Jacksonville being the trap there. So I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna argue with that.
Let's see if Mark can curse two AFC North teams this year. I Next is the Buccaneers Falcons, and the Buccaneers winning. Matt Ryan was horrible last week, and I think that at this point, after this year, if I were a Falcon fan, I want them to move on. I'd want to sort of start a rebuild, and I I I think that the Bucks probably are going to have a fairly easy game, and yeah, I think it should be a week that one of the weeks where they beat a lesser team and they look like contenders.
Yeah. Um. I think I agree. I think Tampa Bay is gonna win, and if Atlanta can abuse the Bucks' young secondary, then I think Atlanta's gonna win this game. But even if that's the case, I still gotta go with the safe pick and pick Tampa Bay because I think Tampa's gonna be able to do the same thing to Atlanta with abusing the secondary, but I think they're just gonna do it better. So I'm gonna take the Buccaneers here.
Yeah, I gotta agree with both you guys. I mean, Bucks. I personally, they're definitely the better team, and I mean Atlanta. I mean, they've had spots of brightness, but I mean, they've honestly just sucked. That's the best way to put it this year. And I mean, I don't think they'll be able to beat this Bucks team. And I mean, that's pretty much it. So just got to go Bucks here. You guys said everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
yeah. I think it's on to Mark's games, right?
Yeah. So the first game I have is 49ers against the Cowboys. And I'm going to go with the injury riddled 49ers because, I mean, the Cowboys just have not been it for me. And, I mean, them and the Steelers are my two least favorite teams. So, I mean, normally I want to see them lose. Doesn't mean I'm going to be biased about my picks. But, I mean, 49ers, I just think, even with how injured they are just the better team and have the better coaching.
yeah, I'd agree. I have the 49ers as well. I think the Cowboys played the Bengals last week. I think that's why they were won, and I just don't think they can beat a team that even with all their injuries back out. I think it's still a better team, and I I think the 49ers obviously have had a disappointing year because of all the injuries, but I also think that they that they can still get it going next year if everyone's healthy again.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also gonna have to take San Fran, and San Francisco under Nick Mullins is not a bad team, but like, and since the Seattle game where Garoppolo went down, they're 1-4. But I don't think that's I think that's kind of victim to their schedule, and because they played Green Bay, New Orleans, they beat the Rams, who are a very good team right now. They lost, and then they lost to Buffalo and Washington, who I mentioned is another like good team. Like they're on a hot streak right now. But Dallas is also beat up, and I think Mullins is gonna surprise some people this week, and I think he's gonna lead to the 49ers to a huge win over Dallas, and maybe he makes a top 3 performance next week. So
Yeah, next up is the Jets Rams, and I mean, pretty obvious. Gonna go with the Rams here. I mean, none of my talk about big upset. I don't think this is the Jets' week. Maybe in the future. I mean, Rams should just steamroll them with ease, and we should see a blowout game. Not much to talk about there.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Rams, you know, I think that in the beginning of the year, we probably all thought that the Seahawks were the guys. You know, they were that guy in the NFC West. But the Rams have really stepped up, and their defense has been fantastic. And I think that they've really taken over that spot. And I think that this should be another easy game for them after what looked like a pretty easy game against New England last week.
Yeah, uh, Rams are gonna win. That's really all I have to say. I don't think this should be a. I don't think there should be an argument here.
Yeah, next up is Cardinals Eagles, and I'm gonna go with the Cardinals here. I mean, Philadelphia could maybe pull something off. I mean, they're coming off a huge win against the Saints, but I mean, the Saints had a bit more time. I think they could have come back. I mean, not to be honest, not even. I mean, we might go off topic here, but I kind of just want to talk about how the hell did the Saints not recover that onside kick? And the dude literally had it basically in his hands, and he's like, you know what? Winning this game doesn't matter, and just handed it over to the Eagles guy. And Saints were probably my second favorite team, so I was probably screaming at the TV as I remember it, just yelling at that guy and wishing he got cut in the moment. Because, I mean, I know people always say I could have done that and stuff like that, and half the time we probably couldn't have. But I mean, even me, as skinny as I am, I think I could have gotten that ball and saved the game.
Yeah, and Matthias, before you make your pick, I just want to mention. So, we were talking. We said we were making fun of Matthias with the Giants, how the Giants beat the Seahawks, and that kind of didn't really go well because the Patriots lost, and then Mark's second favorite team, the Saints, also lost. And meanwhile, the Seahawks are out blowing out the Jets by 37 points. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the
It's fine.
Cardinals.
Seahawks will lose.
I have the Cardinals. I think that they keep their spot in the playoffs. I think that the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, it's his second game. I don't know how they beat the Chiefs, but sorry, not the Chiefs, the Saints. But yeah, I just don't think they get the second win in a row. I think that everyone realizes that Hurts is not quite as good as they thought he was from his debut, and yeah, I think the Cardinals should have a fairly easy game this week.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's an easy game. Um, I think it'll be pretty close, like maybe one score, but I don't know. I also have Arizona. I talked about Kyler Murray and how he plays like an MVP. Then there's other times where he should have just stuck to baseball, and I think he'll have an MVP performance this week. And the Cardinals are gonna need it. Um, like I said, I think it's going to be an insanely close game because I think Jalen Hurts is also going to turn on the Jets and he's going to be able to lead his team to a very good game. And like Hurts, he turned the Eagles around last week, like completely with what Wentz has been doing. Like I think it was finally about time that they bring in Jalen Hurts. Even though I'm pretty sure we talked about it a few weeks ago when we all said that no, like it sends the wrong message. But now that they're like 2 games behind Washington for the NFC East lead, I think Philly like they turned it around last week. But I'm still gonna take Kyler and the Cardinals in a very close game.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. Next up, probably the game of the week. If not, possibly just off reading off the stat sheet, could possibly be the game of the year, or maybe even possibly a Super Bowl matchup, which is the Kansas City Chiefs and the New Orleans Saints. And as much as it hurts me to say this, I'm gonna have to go with KC. I mean, if New Orleans had Drew Brees, this would be a whole different story. But I mean, I don't think Taysom Hill will be able to lead his team to a win against the Chiefs. I mean, the Saints defense, they've looked great and looked awful. So, I mean, personally, I think Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey, and Patrick Mahomes will tear him up. I still think it will be a close game, but I mean, I think with the way things are going, Chiefs have the better offense, and that's going to lead into the win.
Yeah. I think you said it. Like, this is the game of the week. I don't think there's really a question about that. Now Drew Brees is actually expected to return, but there's like as of recording this, there's been no word on if he's gonna start or not. Um, so we're just gonna assume that Taysom Hill's starting. Um, but if he were to start, that's only gonna make the game better, and it's also only gonna make the pick harder to make. Mahomes, I hope Mahomes has a bounce back game because the Saints defense is a lot better. Not a lot better. The Saints defense is better than Miami's defense, and I think Mahomes will have a bounce back game, and I think Tyreek Hill will have another huge game against another NFC South opponent. So I think I'm gonna take the Chiefs here.
Yeah, I'd have to take the Chiefs as well. I think that I do agree that if Drew Brees is back, it makes it a better, closer game. But I think I would still take the Chiefs, because I think that um, he just meshes the team uh, together better. But I don't think he actually is like that much better at playmaking than Taysom Hill is. But yeah, definitely the chemistry is a big aspect. But I'd say the Chiefs. I agree. Patrick Mahomes probably with a bounce back game. I don't. He'd have to really really ball out to catch up to Aaron Rodgers now. I believe.
Or just have Rodgers have a really bad game.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna have that against Panthers defense though.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have the Chiefs.
And next up is Cleveland Browns against the New York Giants. And I mean, this surprisingly, I think will be a close game. Both these teams are fighting for playoff positions. I mean, I'm gonna take the Browns, but I would not count the Giants out from stealing this game. I mean, we've already seen them beat teams that we thought they would get blown out, mainly Matthias' Seahawks. And I I see a good game. I think it will be a big bounce back win for the Browns, especially after losing a very close game to a division rival. So I'm gonna go with Cleveland.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think the Giants, after last week against the Cardinals, okay, so after the game against the Seahawks, I think what we all asked was that a fluke? Or are the Seahawks just way worse than we think they are, or are the Giants way better than we think they are? And now, after the Seahawks demolished the Jets and the Giants lost pretty badly to the Cardinals, I have to say that was a fluke game, and I just don't think that the Giants are going to be able to beat the high power offense of the Browns.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think Cleveland's gonna win. The Browns they've proven to me that they can win now over the past 2-3 weeks. And as mentioned, like we probably witnessed the game of the year last week on Monday Night Football, which is actually yesterday at the time of recording it. Um, I the Giants are a good team, but I just don't know if they'll be able to keep it close against Cleveland's high-powered offense. And I think Mark kind of said it. Like, I would not be surprised if the Giants won this game, but I expect Cleveland to get a pretty easy win here.
And then last game of the week is Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and I mean, as funny as it would seem to have Pittsburgh lose another game in a row, that would make it 3, especially the Cincinnati Bengals, or as I like to call them, the Cincinnati Bagels. I mean, I think Pittsburgh will roll over them and score more points than they normally would just because they're angry about the way they've been playing with 2 losses. So I think they're going to take out a lot of anger and have a big win against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean earlier, or me and Drew have talked about earlier how Packers kind of have a cycle, and I saw a cycle for the Steelers that I kind of liked, where they beat all the teams that are kind of bad. They then make a bunch of TikToks and become Super Bowl contenders in a lot of people's eyes, and then lose to the first real competition that they meet. And, this is kind of back to the phase of playing very bad teams and making TikToks. So I think that the Steelers should have this game in the bag.
Yeah, they should make as many TikToks as they can this week because the next 2 weeks with Indy and Cleveland, who is a totally different team than they played in Week 7, I believe. Yeah, that's no easy task. But I agree. I also have Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati is like they're in full tank mode with Burrow out. Like they need to upgrade the offensive line, and Matisse has mentioned before that Penei Sewell out of Oregon is the perfect. He's like the perfect fit in that offense, and like love on to Pittsburgh. Love or hate Mike Tomlin, he's still a great coach. Like he's not gonna let the Pittsburgh Steelers lose 2 games or 3 games in a row and have one of them be the Cincinnati Bengals without a starting quarterback. So I just can't see anything. I just can't see Pittsburgh losing this game in any way, shape or form. Yeah. So
That
I
pretty much sums it up there. I mean, as funny as it would be to see them lose, I don't think they will. And as Matisse was saying about their TikToks, just one more thing to add. Chase Claypool has made more TikToks this
Yep.
season. He has catches, and that's just a pretty funny stat to have. So, I mean,
yeah.
I'm kind of a big Steelers hater anyway, so, I mean, definitely hopping on a Cincinnati win train this week. As unlikely as it is to happen, it would be great to watch.
Mark, you picked Pittsburgh, right?
Yes, I did.
Wow, so rooting against the pick just because he hates the Steelers. Wow.
Yes.
I think it'd be hilarious to see Cincinnati win as well, but I mean, I kind of don't want them to win because, like Drew said, they have Jonah Williams who can play the right tackle. He's been decent this year and can develop. And if they have Penei Sewell for the left tackle, I don't know. It just all fits together, and it seems so perfect to start the rebuild off. And I guess since that idea's popped in my head, I've just really wanted Penei Sewell to go there.
Yeah, and especially after that Burrow injury. All right, so I think it's time to move on to the last segment of the day. We got our questions. We each have one. We're gonna ask each other. We're gonna kind of talk about it for a few minutes. I'm gonna start off. My question is there a team that can beat the Chiefs?
I'll start us off here, and I mean, if we're being honest, I think New Orleans has a chance. And come to playoff time, I can see the Bills being able to beat them. I mean, other than those 2 games off the top of my head that have, and one of them might not even happen, I mean, I think it will be very, very unlikely. I mean, you never know. For all we know, one team could come out of nowhere and absolutely obliterate them, as we saw, which almost happened with Miami. But I just have a feeling that they're not going to lose again this season, and they'll be heading into the playoffs with one loss.
I'm slightly wondering if the Rams match up really nicely with them. Just not because their offense can obviously get in the shootout with Mahomes, but just their defense being pretty great. I kind of wonder if they would be able to slow down Mahomes enough with Aaron Donald pass rushing and Jalen Ramsey covering, and they have a pretty good duo of safeties for Tyreek Hill running down the field. So yeah, I at this point I don't know. I'd say if they play any team today, I think that they are probably the favorite to win in all of them. But I definitely think that they could be, surprised at some point during the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the correct answer, even though there is no correct answer, it's more opinionated. But I think the correct answer here is just straight up no. And they've proven that they can beat anyone besides the Raiders apparently. But I don't know I don't know how real that game was. Not looking at the Raiders now, but I just I
Well, just to add on, I mean, like I said, division rival games I feel like are completely. You have a little bit off topic here, but I mean, when I watch football, I feel like there's three types of games. You have normal season mode, you have division rival games, and then you have playoff games. And I feel like all those types of games you got to play different for. So I feel like Raiders playing the Chiefs year after year were able to sneak one out.
yeah, and that's another good point. But I just think it's no, and maybe the Saints find a way in the Super Bowl, maybe even this week they find a way. But other than that, I can't really see anyone beating the Chiefs. Like Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league right now. Travis Kelsey is the best tight end in the NFL right now. He has the most receiving yards out of everyone, tight ends, wide receivers. So you could probably argue he's the best receiver in the game right now. And I just can't see anyone beating that. Like the defense is good. It's not anything compared to the offense. It's nothing special. Like they have Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones, and there's a few other guys that I can't think of off the top of my head. But yeah, I I don't know. I just can't. I really can't see anyone beating KC right now.
Yeah. My question is, who is the favorite in the NFC right now?
I guess I'll start us off here. I mean, it's tough because I would say the NFC is definitely more stacked than the AFC this year, at least in my opinion. Just honestly, I'm leaning towards the Rams. I mean, the way they've been playing solid football week after week. They've been able to take down every opponent, almost every opponent, I should say, they've faced so far. So I think they'll be able to go to the Super Bowl and maybe have a chance, like Matthias was saying, beat the Chiefs, who I also think will be in the Super Bowl as well, and be able to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good one. Like I honestly didn't like. I'm thinking more like Saints, Packers. Like I just think to me, I'm leaning towards Green Bay, and I don't want to pick Green Bay because they're the number one seed, so that they're obviously the favorite. But I just can't see Drew Brees will be coming back. Got I don't know when. He was supposed to come back last week, but he didn't. And now he's supposed to come back this week, and I don't know. We don't know yet if he's coming back. So even if he comes back for the playoffs, he's not gonna have that chemistry with the team, and it makes me wonder if maybe they start Taysom Hill for that wild card game if they don't have the bye week, and if they have the bye week, get Drew Brees back into the starting practice with the first team squad. I Yeah, I'm gonna have to take Green Bay just because they, assuming Aaron Rodgers doesn't get hurt and there's nothing drastic happens to that team. I think Green Bay is the best team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, first of all, I'm very surprised Mark did not say the Washington football team. But also, I think
I'm
that
just adding deep down, I believe in them, and I mean, from a fan and point of view, I either want them or the Saints to make it. But if we're being realistic, the Rams I think have it. But anyways, Matthias, you can continue.
yeah. So I asked this question because obviously I think the Chiefs are the favorite in the AFC, but I would was going to actually also answer the Rams mostly because I think that the Rams just as of late, Jared Goff has not been good and they've still been winning. Cam Akers had a pretty big game this last weekend. Or never mind, they played Thursday, so he had a big game Thursday. And I just think that their defense. I think I've said this like 100 times over the past couple episodes, but it's been really great lately. Jalen Ramsey doesn't actually pick the ball off very often, but he it he shuts guys down, and I think he's been one of the best corners in the league this year, from shutting down elite receivers, and I see Aaron Donald, and I think that the Rams definitely can be the team to come out of the NFC.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, real quick before Mark, you ask your question, I just want to clarify. Did you mean like by who's the favorite? Do you mean favorite to get the 1 seed or favorite to be the NFC's um team in the Super Bowl?
I meant the NFC's team in the Super Bowl.
Okay, so that kind of changes things for me. I don't know. Like I don't want to ramble too much because like Mark needs to get his question in. But um yeah, to me it's still between Green Bay and New Orleans, and I might, if it's Super Bowl, I might have to go New Orleans, and then if it's for 1 seed, I might have to go Green Bay.
All right, so my question is a bit different, but also kind of the same. My question is, can the New York Giants come back and steal their division? They've been in a tight race with the Washington football team, and I mean, Philadelphia Eagles are starting to come back and make a push. So, do you think the Giants will be able to come back and completely steal their division?
My first thought would be
Matthias, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
all right. My first thought would be no. I just believe that as we said before, the Washington football team's kind of on fire right now. They're hot, and I just don't think that the I don't think I think they're going to win most of their last couple of games, and I think that the Giants are not going to be able to catch up to them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's no, and I'm looking at this like their last 3 games in the schedule right now. Like the Giants have the Browns, Ravens, and Cowboys, and the Seahawks. The football team has the Seahawks, Panthers, and Eagles, and that's like if comparing those two, I think Washington has a very not very easy, but they have the easier schedule between the two, and they're already a game ahead of the Giants, and I just can't see like if I were to predict for the Giants, they're 5-8. I think they lose to the Browns, lose to the Ravens, and beat the Cowboys. That's what is that 6-10, and then the football team like probably like if we're being real, I think if I'm gonna keep my prediction from earlier, I think they lose to the Seahawks, they beat the Panthers, and they beat the Eagles, which would put them at 8-8. So
Yeah, I gotta agree with you guys. I mean, Washington, they're gonna obviously win this weekend against the Seahawks, as we all know. And I can see them winning all 3 games, if not at least 2 of them. I mean, they're on fire right now, and I mean, I just don't see the Nats being able to come back and try to steal this division. So I got to go with the Washington football team here.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps it up. If you guys have anything else to say, you can say it now.
Oh, football team.
All right. So, yeah. Well, thank you for listening again. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Um, we'll hopefully be here next week. We might have Marc on, we might not. Yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it up now, and yeah, thank you, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. See ya.